When it comes to Columbia, I believe that Harry and Meghan probably had their heart in the right place. But I do think that their efforts when it comes to these international tours are really backfiring PR wise. I mean, I do think somebody has sat down with them, advising them, you know what, we've got to get back to the roots. Why did people fall in love with you in the first place? Let's go to Colombia. Let's show you with children. Um, and the reality is that people are sitting around going, why were they in Colombia? The messaging is all off. It does look like a PR stunt, and that is not good for their brand, as they're hemorrhaging fans and popularity. Also, when people fell in love with Harry and Meghan, the people that fell in love with Harry and Meghan were royalists, and they've really truly burned the bridge when it comes to people that are still in that category. People that are royalists, that love King Charles, that are excited about Prince William and the Princess of Wales, feel like Harry and Meghan, what they've done in the past is unforgivable. So they're not going to look at visuals of Columbia, Harry and Meghan beating drums, dancing with folk dancers, and say, oh, I remember when, I miss them so much. They're going to look at them and see something inauthentic. They're going to look at them and see people that are trying to steal the thunder of the real working royals. And I think most people resent it. I mean, I found myself in that category a little bit, where I was like, why are you there? What are you contributing? What are you doing? And when you look at some of these things, even like the Royal Foundation's 2023 report, and you see some of the tangible work that the Prince and Princess of Wales are doing, how they hold themselves accountable financially, where some of that money goes, you really start to question what's going on with Archewell, and what Harry and Meghan are contributing, because they come back from Colombia and we found out that they're going to give them drum sets for, like it doesn't compare. And so I do feel like, instead of just putting your foot on the gas, which I think has always been Harry and Meghan's problem. Yes, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do, absolutely, yes. We're going to do this Oprah Winfrey sit down, and we're going to do this Netflix show, and we're going to do this podcast. Instead of having a clear vision for the future and what it is they're trying to accomplish, and really clear missions. Like Prince Harry, if he would have focused on veterans, the mental health of veterans, the homeless crisis in the veterans community, what an authority he could have been in that space. But he also wants to talk about kids online, and he wants to talk about, he just is kind of all over the place. He's also this see whatever of Better Up. What do you physically do at Better Up? He also was for a moment a podcast host until he was fired. Now he's a producer on a polo show. What is your focus? What is your end game? And I think because they're all over the place, just so desperately, aside from trying to collect a check, find a space where they're accepted. They continue to turn a lot of people off, and they look like they look pay to play, like pay to play royals. And I felt like a lot of people took that away from Columbia. These are pay to play royals. Are they disruptive diplomatically? Could they become disruptive diplomatically in the future? Because why are they there? Royals go on these types of tours to share messages. Royals go on these types of tours to unite countries and to strengthen relationships. So why are you there? And I think the idea of pay to play royals is really terrifying for a lot of people. So whether they really wanted to make an impact in Colombia or not, I'd like to think that they were trying to, but showing up with 3,000 armed guards and Black Hawk helicopters, and kind of the chaos that ensues when the Sussexes roll into town, I don't think PR-wise it was their best look. I think Meghan is having a hard time finding employees for American Riviera Orchard, because they have gained a reputation for being really difficult to work with, being hard to collaborate with. Since they reunited since they married. I've heard a couple of commentators get this wrong. It's since they were a unit, they've lost 18 employees. Since Archwell was developed, they've lost about 9. But there was an interesting story on siliconvalley.com where they said over the past year, the couple have been the subject of reports in the Wrap and other industry trade publications that they've worn out their welcome in Hollywood and squandered opportunities because they are demanding to work with but lack experience. And I felt like that was a really powerful paragraph because it pretty much defines the state they're in. You know, one thing I would tell you is I am also an entertainment reporter, note the background, and I was pitched something from a publicist last week. He has a celebrity client. He wants the celebrity client to get a little bit of buzz. And he called and said, hey, what about doing this feature? What about doing this profile? And because I like it, the person, to me, it needed something else. So I said, what if we created something around Prince Harry's birthday? That kind of makes sense. Here is every reason why we could do something around Prince Harry's birthday, and this could elevate your client because that's something people care about. And he was like, ooh, my publicist alarm just went off. There's too much negativity around the Sussexes. We don't want to be associated. So it's not just people not wanting to go to work for them in Hollywood. It's disassociation. We don't want our name on the same page. We don't want our name in the same article as these two people because they've become incredibly toxic. I think it's pretty obvious when you think about the Valentine Lowe report and you think about the Palace's bullying report, what could potentially be going on inside of Archwell anything, whether it's audio production, the charity aspect of the company. Even Prince Harry discusses it in his book, talking about employees slamming their heads on their desk and sobbing while denying that they're the bad guys. I mean, if people are being brought to tears, I think you might need to look in the mirror. But I think it's a combination of Harry and Meghan believing their own hype and wanting to be the authority on everything whether it comes to podcasts or movies or documentaries for Netflix. Because remember, while Harry and Meghan was a knockout hit for Netflix, they went through multiple production companies. Like, they did not stick with the first production company. So they do have a hard time collaborating with people. And there was also here in the States, we have a newer, I think it's a newer outlet called News Nation. And it's basically like a CNN or a Fox News. And one of the former employees of Archwell told a employee at News Nation that despite Harry and Meghan's CEO really working under Prince Harry as the chief of staff, being that was going to carry Harry into the next phase of his professional life, that former Archwell employee said, it's Meghan. She's unbearable. She talks down to people and is very condescending. And then we had the source in Closer magazine saying the brutal reality is Harry and Meghan are the toughest of taskmasters. They are very demanding and difficult to work for. And I think that they have really done very little to fix that reputation. They have done very little to change people's perceptions of them as being not a happy bunch when it comes to employment. I don't care what the benefits are. I'm not submitting my resume. I don't believe that Harry and Meghan are desperate for peace talks based on their actions. I mean, we have these sources come in and out and say, oh, Harry and Meghan, they miss being a part of the royal fold. They'll do anything to come back. But actions speak louder than words. And when Meghan sat down with CBS a few weeks ago and said, oh, I've barely scratched the surface of my mental health struggle while in the royal family, instantly that came off to a lot of people as a dig at the British royal family, a veiled threat. There's still more I can say. If you are hoping to claw your way back into something like the British royal family, you're going to be much more careful with your words. You're going to watch your words. We saw Prince Harry still kind of defiantly pushing back on the royal family in that ITV interview. It's not the tone you take if you are trying to make peace with your family and would like to find a way to continue to work with them or collaborate with them in the future. I mean, even I saw some headlines, Prince Harry Olive Branch did an update spare with more dirt. And Olive Branch would have been to put an apology at the very back of the book and say, you know what, after the last few years, I have really done some self reflection. I've done some therapy, and I still love my family very much. And I'm so sorry for any of the hurt I've caused. That's an Olive Branch. So I think we need to pay attention more to their actions versus some of the whispers behind the scenes. I don't think that they have any intention of coming back to the royal family. I think that there's still a lot of resentment, and they are really desperate to prove themselves. Remember, it was Harry and Meghan that told us during the Netflix series that the reason that they were so rejected by the royal family was because they were more popular. And they're having a very difficult time digesting the reality that their popularity has plummeted and the royal family continues strong. You know, the royal family is this like organism that is going to continue no matter who's on board. Like, it's going to continue to function. It's incredible. And I do think that their objective, at least at the beginning, was to hurt the royal family in some way and to teach them a lesson. And I don't know if they've shaken that off yet. And maybe that's one of the reasons why their projects continue to fail, because their heart's not in the right place, and it's coming from a place of vengeance. I think one of the most predictable moments we've seen this year was Prince Harry announcing that he will be in NYC to advance a number of his charity initiatives. At the same time, we expect to see Prince William to be in town for the third Earthshot Prize Innovation Summit on September 24th during Climate Week NYC and the 79th session of the UN General Assembly. If we talk about Harry and Meghan's desire to return to the royal family, and we talk about, action speaking louder than words, to me, this is truly Prince Harry trying to steal Prince William's thunder. Earthshot is his baby. We look at that. You look at the Royal Foundation's report from 2023, you see the positive impact that Earthshot has had on the community. This tangible evidence that something's working. Not only that, but Prince William's going to be in New York with last year's winners. They're updating the finalists about everything they've accomplished, everything that they've done over the last year, and how these grants have helped all of these cool products come to fruition, or projects. Harry's diary is going to include attending events for African Parks Charity, which has been just shrouded in scandal. There were allegations of rape, torture of local villagers that he's never addressed. The Halo Trust, the Diana Awards, and he's going to be there for Travelist, which is another thing people tear into him about. He wants to lecture people on climate change while he will very likely take a private jet to New York for this trip. And I just think it reminds me of standing in the freezing cold in Boston, waiting for Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Prince William to get out of their big SUV. We've just seen David Beckham walk the green carpet, and everybody's just screaming, so excited to see William and Catherine in Boston. And then all of a sudden I get the push alert that Netflix has dropped Harry and Meghan's trailer in the middle of this really great American moment for William and Catherine. It just really feels like the Sussexes are perpetually trying to undermine what the Wales family does. And I think it looks really immature.